welcome to another episode of Hi, I'm Kellen. Uh, Thank you so much for tuning in. You can find us on all the social media platforms. We'll start with IG. On Instagram, you can find me at Coach Kell Inspires. Um, on Instagram, you can also find us at the Jules and Tools podcast uh, on Instagram. And then you can also search me up on Facebook, Kellen Gerard Allen, and you can find the Coach Kell page, as well as all the other pages that we have, the Jewels and Tools and things of that nature. So I really just want to get right into it. Thank you so much for tuning in. This has been a great last couple of months. And it's been, I've gone back to school. The kids are awesome. There's a lot of opportunities that I'm currently working on. So things have been great. But recently, the reason why you haven't seen a lot of my podcasts, I was actually preparing for what I'm going to be talking about today. Our first couple of episodes, I was talking to you about who I am first and foremost, which is a Christian. And I think we had some great input. We had a lot of, it actually sparked a lot of great debate. So I'm actually, will be having a conversation with a few of my friends about our spiritual walks. That'll be coming soon. But before I got into that, I couldn't allow the next thing to get passed up. I was trying to time it perfectly, but it is what it is. But recently, I actually just celebrated my 3rd year marriage anniversary. And that's the second thing that I am. And that's for the next couple of episodes. We're going to have conversations about that. The second thing that I am, I'm a Christian first. And then I'm a husband second. And being a husband has been an awesome journey, which has turned into, I'm not going to say it's a forced, but it has been a motivated evolution for who I am mentally, spiritually, physically, emotionally. And it I kind of feel like LeBron James. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm going into my 4th year. I've won 3 straight championships. Because if you're married and you make it through a year, you make it through that season, and you're still together, you're a champion. It is very easy to not be with somebody. Very, very easy. But it takes work to be married. It takes work to coexist. It takes work to become one. And it's a process. And we're going to talk about the process. But before you can really get into the process, what we're going to talk about today, and this is more so for the men folk, because that's the only input I can give you. The only input I can give you about being a husband or being married is being a husband. So what I'm going to talk about today, we're going to talk about preparing for marriage from a man's point of view. And I'm going to share some information with you all. I want to see what you guys think about it. So please, once you look at this episode, please feel free to comment. Please feel free to DM, send emails, ask your questions, and I'll address them for you. If you think I'm wrong with something, let me know. If you think I'm right about something, cool. All right. But I do want to start building up dialogue. that's the goal for this. So make sure that you cut your notifications on YouTube, on the Coach Kell page. Make sure that you're subscribing and that you're following on all the social media so you can be informed, and keep up with the conversation. Because I think this actual topic is going to spark some great conversations, to say the least. So there's a couple of things that I'm going to talk about. What I found, and it just hasn't been from my experience. I've also had the great experience of seeing a lot of my close friends embark on the journey of marriage. And I want to kind of talk about the prequel. All right, what happens before the marriage? We'll talk about what happens before the marriage. Then we'll talk about what happens when you're preparing for the wedding day. Then we'll talk about preparing for the wedding day, the actual wedding day, and then we'll have an episode about, what happens after the wedding day, and things that you should expect. So for me, I never thought, even when I was a kid, I never really wanted or really thought about the idea of marriage. It was just not something that possessed a lot of my thought and focus. I was just under the impression that I would meet somebody that I liked, I would fall in love with them, and we would get married. Needless to say, that didn't work a couple of times. Yeah, it didn't work a couple of times. And a lot of times when it did not work, when I thought, I was going to spend the rest of my life with this person, when I was going through those situations, you always going to blame the other person. I would place blame on the others and kind of, make myself out to be the victim and things of this nature. But when I really met someone who challenged my ideas on marriage and, really challenged my roles and responsibilities of being a man, I had to stop the victimization process. And then I had to really start to look at me, because in order for a man to even fathom the thought of spending the rest of his life or the rest of his eternity, depending on how you want to look at it, with someone bonded, you first have to get yourself in order. You first have to come to some terms. It's some things that you need to do before you even bring somebody else into that process, or even invite someone to either go on that journey with you. As a man, there are certain things that you're going to have to do. And I think for every man, it's going to be somewhat different. So the only thing that I can talk to you about is my experience. I'm going to give you information about my experience. And I'm going to touch on 5 things. 5 things that I had to process in order, before I could even get to the point of asking my wife to marry me. All right. So those 5 things is, one, the first thing that we're going to talk about is getting rid of your placeholders. All right. Getting rid of your placeholders. We'll get to it. The next thing that a man, that I find out that I believe a man should do, number 2 is you need to compare and contrast your histories. Compare and contrast your histories. That's number 2. Number 3, you got to come to terms with your sexual purpose. All right. That's number 3. That's a big one. We're going to spend some time on that one. All right. Number 4, you have to question your legacy. That's a huge one. And if you do that one correctly, you can probably prevent yourself to get into something that you really don't want. And then the fifth one, I'm just going to say parabellum for right now. Parabellum. All right. And we'll get to that. So let's retract and go back to the first one. You got to get rid of your placeholders. So in this part of my life, I've been blessed with the opportunity to become a math instructor. Don't know where it came from, but I'm a math instructor right now. So a lot of what I do currently, a lot of the studying that I study, I'm not gonna say a lot, but some of the studying that I study now has to do with mathematics, right? And this one particular book that I'm reading, the author quotes another mathematician, and basically the mathematician states that mathematics is simply an extension of common sense. All right. It's just an extension of common sense. Mathematics is an extension of common sense. So when I say in order for a man to prepare himself to get married, that he has to get rid of his placeholders, in math, we have placeholders to let us know, all right, this is the value of this thing. I might not be ready to use it quite yet, but I'm going to indicate it because I know at some point I'm going to go back to this and I need to reconcile in order to get the equation correct, right? That's a placeholder. And a lot of times in life, we make things so difficult in our lives and we overstand so much that we really get away from the simplicities of things. And one of the simple things that I think a lot of men do throughout our histories, we acquire placeholders. All right, placeholders. These placeholders are individuals who they might not have value for us at any given time, but when value is needed, those are the individuals that we go to. All right. So I'm going to dumb it down a little bit for y'all who think I'm talking in parables. Basically, men, they always got that fallback. We always got that plan B. We always got that surety. We always have that person that no matter what might be going on in our life, we can pick up that phone. We can make that move. And usually that person is the person that the person or people that we have great soul ties with, like very strong bonds. A lot of it is probably because we've experienced a lot with each other. So before I could go through the process of even thinking about getting married, I had to go through the task of getting rid of all of my placeholders. So, little history on me. I am a serial monogamous. All right. I am a serial monogamous. For just about my whole dating history, except for maybe 2 times, I've never been single. I was never single for an extended amount of time. And one of the reasons behind that was because I would meet women. I would cultivate relationships with women. And if it deemed feasible or if it was comfortable, I would jump in relationships with women. And then, I don't think I'm a bad dude, but a lot of the times, given the time in which I spent with a person, if we did decide to go our separate ways, it was always an understanding that if they were needed, they were one call away. If I was needed, I was one call away. And that's how I operated for a very, I'm not going to say a very long time, but probably for about, I'll say 10 years. I operated that way for a decade. So I would be in a relationship with a woman. If me and that woman didn't um, work out, we would go our separate ways. And like a man, it's a couple of guarantees that's going to happen if you're a man. One, you're going to get hungry. I'm going to tell you like my granddaddy used to tell me. All right, this is one of these Rithals. My granddaddy ain't Rithal. This is one of these Rithal quotes. It's two things that's going to happen to a man more often than anything else. One, you're going to get hungry. Two, you're going to get horny. So, if you could cook and you was jumping off that ceiling fan, chances was if I was not in a relationship, I was gonna hit your line. And this was before I even started to acquire money to where I could, entertain and things of that nature. It was just a way of life. It was just a way of being. And what I found was, when I met my wife, we were friends for a while. And while we were friends, it was weird because she was in a relationship when we met. I was in a relationship when we met, and we both were under the impressions that these were 9 times out of 10 the persons that we were going to be spending the rest of our lives with. So when I broke up with the woman that I was dating at the time, I went through a process of just dealing with all of these placeholders. And the placeholders were just that. They didn't have value for me at all times. But when it was something that I felt like I needed, or if it was something that I felt like I wanted, I knew who I could call on. I knew who I would allow to call on me. And I was going through this process because the last breakup that I had before I got with my wife, it was a tough breakup. Like I said, I was under the impression that this was going to be the person I was going to be with, and I had started somewhat making moves to make that happen. But it wasn't until I was going through with me and my wife when we really started to spend a lot of time together, and I started to say, hey, she's valuable. I'm in love with her. Before I could really go in love with her, I had told myself when I broke up with the woman that I was with before my wife, I told myself that, I wouldn't get into any monogamous and intimate relationships with anybody unless there was the goal or the potentiality for marriage. And how I got to that point was because, and this was during the time when it first really got flued out. Yeah, that was your boy. Yeah, flued out. I would fly. I would get flued out. I would flew in. And for me, it was just more comfortable because one thing that I learned about myself was that I didn't necessarily need someone in my space all the time. So the flued out narrative was perfect for me. I could go a month or two and not have to have any dealings with anybody. But when that thing got strong, what I'm saying, when I got hungry on it, I was gonna make a call. I was gonna make some arrangements. Come down. Man, it's cold up there, man. Come on down. What I'm saying? Hey, what I'm saying? Y'all got some good shoe shopping. I think I need to go ahead and come out there and visit. And it was always welcome. Because a lot of these women that I was dealing with, because of my sinful nature, when I was dealing with them, I had build these complex soul ties with them. So the thing about soul ties, if they're strong enough, you know, you can always go back and revisit those things, especially if there's opportunity there. And that's how it always seemed to kind of work out for me. So when I was going through my fluid out time, I really started to like look at the individuals, and you know, I won't even cap. I won't even cap. What made me really turn the corner was that I had a very long history with an individual, right? And you know, we were spending time with each other, and the thought the thought for me was that, okay, well, this might be something that a placeholder that I actually should go ahead and revisit and attempt to go ahead and solve this equation and, you know, get that thing situated. And, you know, I'm that's what I'm thinking. But my intention wasn't being reflected by my attentions. So like I was thinking this thing, but I was still out here chicken winging, wide. You know what I'm saying? Oh, I got you on the side, bomb. And so it was a funny situation. Um, that individual actually got caught in some dirt. It really wasn't dirt to me. I was just like, oh, all right, well, cool. I wish you would have told me, but you know, it is what it is. And so, long story short, you know, I'm down here. I'm pseudo single. You know, I'm still out here living. But I'm flued out shouting. Um, and this one particular person that I had been flying out, come to find out, they had an old dude, right? And something happened with the old dude, and it it blurred the lines. Like, you know, I called her one day. She was mad at me. I was like, well, damn, why you mad at me? And it just so happened, um, you know, you know how social media work. I got a DM for somebody I ain't never seen before in my life. And you know, the conversation, the DM, I was just like, yeah, not even finna venture down this. This ain't got nothing to do with me. I don't know what you're talking about, cuz. And just left it as that. Um, but me and the young lady didn't have a conversation about it for a while. And so when that happened, I was just like, man, all right, what now? And for me, that what now was the start of my journey to understanding who I was, understanding my value, understanding what I need to make me more optimal, and what I need in order to live a life that's pleasing to God. So started going through the process, and I was actually with I was with I was with I was with my wife when we were out. And I remember when I was just like, the final straw is the final straw. We had went out, we were out, was having a great time. And one of my I went to go get her something to eat. She was in the car. I went to go in to grab the food. And one of my placeholders that I hadn't dealt with in forever just called my phone out of the blue. Just out of the blue. And um, I'm G code. You know, at that time I had to live G code. So my phone rang. Ain't no telling what name was gonna pop up. Ain't no telling what name was gonna pop up. But this particular time, I guess the last time that I had seen the girl, she had my phone, and she decided to put what she wanted her name to be in my phone, and I didn't know it. So I get back, grab the food, I get back in the truck, and I could tell the vibe is totally different. Like, we was vibing, having a great time. I get in the car, straight face shoulder, like ain't nothing. So I'm just like, man, what the hell is going on? So nothing. It doesn't dawn on me to look at my to look at my phone, because the way the way that I operated was that I'm still not a talker on the telephone. So like all of the women that I dealt with, they understood that I only talk. I only want to talk if I call you. That's it. If you call me 9 times out of 10, I'm busy. I'm doing something. I ain't got time. So it hadn't dawned on me that somebody could have possibly called my phone. I pick up my phone to change the music. I see the phone call. And I'm just like, okay. So we have I'm trying to get her to, just fess up and be like, yeah, I know you saw somebody call my phone. And so we didn't even really, we didn't have a knockout drag out about it. I told her, man, that's somebody I used to mess with. I don't mess with her no more. She just called, I don't know what she got going on. She don't even live here. That used to be my saving grace. She don't even live here. Like, and my wife knew at the time because, because we were friends at first. There were some fluid out occasions where she met the fluid outs. So, with that particular occasion, I told her, like, man, we won't even rock like that. I ain't seen her in a month of Sundays. That ain't nothing that needs you to worry about. She just, she was trying to probably fly your boy out. It was a sneaker convention coming to her town. So 9 times out of 10, that's what she was calling about. And that night, when I got home, something just came over me. I was just like, damn, like I really rock with Janelle. Like she got a lot of potential. And I'm just like, is it worth me fucking up is it worth me messing up my relationship, my friendship with her, just because I'm Desert Dick? That's what we call it. Me and my partner's Desert. And that night I was like, you know what? It ain't. If I'm really going to pursue something with her, I'm really going to pursue it with her. So my next step was I got rid of my placeholders, and I don't have any regrets. I really don't have any regrets. But what I can say is that I would have done it a little bit better. I couldn't, because during this time I was really, really studying Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. And one of the things Napoleon Hill talks about is, sometimes you gotta burn away all your bridges of escape. He talks about a story, one of them 300 Greek fighters companies, something, where they had to take boats across the water, and the people who they were going to find, they outnumbered them 3-1. Everybody just knew they were going to lose, and he ordered everybody off the boats. When everybody got off the boats, he ordered his archers to shoot flaming arrows at the boats and burn the boats up. And he told them, he was like, so we outnumbered 3-1. The only way we get back home is we got to win. We got to win. And that's the approach that I took with my wife. I burned down all my bridges, all my ships, because one thing about a man cannot give his attention to something and make it a primary focus if he has a lot of obstacles, confusion, and chaos around.